Caribbean for Thursday, April 2nd, 2015. I'm Deandra Roberts. Looking at the headlines, action undertaken by teachers' trade unions in Barbados is the tip of the iceberg. The momentum is building. Trinidad and Tobago ranks 35th in the world for suicides and 48 years in prison for men who committed Cayman Islands' biggest bank robbery ever. In sports, America's Cup votes to race smaller boats in 2017 Bermuda Regatta. We'll be back with these and other regional developments, plus a look at sports up next.
Hey, check it out.
When it gets cold, it feels like the end. There's no place to go, you know I won't give in. No, I won't give in. Keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through.
In the news, General Secretary of the Caribbean Union of Teachers, the CUT, Dr. Virginia Albert Poyot, says the regional body has taken a stance that enough is enough, and they are in full support of the unions in Barbados who have adopted the stance of not correcting any school-based assessment unless they are paid by the Caribbean Examinations Council. Addressing the media yesterday, she said the CUT has been discussing the issue for about 7 years, and the situation is now more intense. And while they were trying to engage the CXC in some form of dialogue, they have been forced to bring the issue to the public.
We have teacher unions. CUT represents about 30 teacher unions in the Caribbean from over 20 countries. And these unions are legitimate bodies that represent the interests of their members with regards to conditions of service, salaries, and compensation. However, the Ministry of Education in the region, the different ministries have a responsibility that they enter in dialogue with the teachers' union when it comes to their conditions of work. And here we have an external agency, the CXC, which actually dictates the pace in terms of what is it teachers do in schools. And having held this discussion among ourselves and trying to engage CXC in dialogue to get this matter resolved, we felt that it is time that the teacher unions in the region take the necessary action.
She calls the action in Barbados the tip of the iceberg as the CUT plans to galvanize the entire region to ensure the teachers across the region is adequately compensated for the work that they do. For all the anti-government protests and demands that he resign from office, Haitian President Michel Martelly remains popular. That's according to a new public opinion survey. Martelly, who will begin the final year of his 5-year term in May, got a 57% job approval rating. But it's an open question whether his popularity will give his choice of presidential candidate the win. Martelly is barred from running again, and Haitians are waiting to see which candidate gets his support. More than half of Haitians believe the country is headed in the wrong direction, while nearly 70% do not believe things are going well today. Some 1,000 to 1,200 people are admitted to the nation's major hospitals for attempted suicide. That's according to Secretary of the Psychiatric Association of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Varma Dayal Singh. He says, according to a World Health Organization report, Trinidad and Tobago ranks 35th in the world for suicides and second in the Caribbean region next to Guyana. The report, he added, has also indicated that by 2020, depression will be the second highest cause of morbidity globally. Dayal Singh noted further that the latest figures on the rates for suicide in Trinidad shows that in 2012, there was some 193 suicides, with 146 males ending their own lives. Finally in news, the armed gang who robbed $500,000 from the Cayman National Bank has been jailed for a total of 48 years. David Tamasa, George Mingnot, Andrew Burton, and Rennie Cole were found guilty of the 2012 heist last month. Cayman 27 Paul Kennedy was in court yesterday and filed this report.
Mastermind, planner and supplier of the guns, David Tamasa, jailed for 14 years. George McNaught, described by his own lawyers as a foot soldier who terrified staff and customers at the bank with a shotgun, jailed for 12 years. Rene Cole, the distraction man who talked to the guard as the gang ran in, jailed for 8 years. And Andre Burton, the getaway driver, a man with a long list of previous convictions and already banged up for the West Star robbery, jailed for 14 years. In court Wednesday, Judge Ingrid Mangatal spoke of how many bank staff have been left seriously traumatised by the 2012 heist. She said many are still living in fear, suffering from a high level of anxiety, especially when people either run into the bank or enter wearing construction uniforms. In jailing the gang, Judge Mangatal told them this was a brazen robbery in broad daylight on the main 7-mile tourist stretch. She added that in Cayman, this robbery was the highest end of the scale and was quite sophisticated and organised.
That report from Cayman 27, bringing on the curtain to news. Don't go away. Up next, a look at sports. Welcome back. In sports, America's Cup teams have voted to reduce the size of boats to be sailed in the 2017 regatta in Bermuda, a cost-cutting move that could lead the two strongest challengers to drop out. In a statement on Tuesday night, organizers said that a majority of teams favor the move from 62-foot catamarans to ones in the 45 to 50-foot range. They also said the majority of challengers favored all racing being held in Bermuda rather than having a qualifying regatta in Auckland, New Zealand. Luna Russa, a top challenger to the cup holder Oracle Team USA, said last week that it would be obliged to withdraw if the race boat was downsized mid-cycle. Another top contender, Emirates Team New Zealand, supported the Italians. FIFA's president Sepp Blatter said Friday that world football must respect Africa, a bastion of support for the veteran sports power broker as he seeks to a new term. Blatter sent his message ahead of Confederation of African Football Congress next week. His rivals for the presidency, who say FIFA's scandal-tainted image needs reform, will also be at the meeting and have been lobbying African leaders. The 79-year-old FIFA president said the refreshing skills and technical finesse of the African teams are among the greatest attractions at the World Cup. Two African nations reached the World Cup last 2016 in Brazil for the first time. That was a look at sports. A recap of the headlines up next.
Hey, check it out.
When it gets cold, feels like the end. There's no place to go, you know I won't give in. No, I won't give in. Keep holding on, 'cause you know we'll make it through.
Recapping the top stories making news, action undertaken by Teachers Trade Union in Barbados is a tip of the iceberg. The momentum is building. Trinidad and Tobago ranks 35th in the world for suicides and 48 years in prison for men who committed Cayman Islands' biggest bank robbery. In sports, America's Cup votes to race smaller boats in 2017 Bermuda Regatta. Remember, for the latest in news, sports and other regional developments in the region, log on to whatsapcaribbean.com, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. This was a Carify production. Have a peaceful Easter.